When it comes to puzzle games, I'm typically not a fan. The Mutant Virus is no exception. Granted, this game was completely different than what I was expecting by the title and cartridge art, but I guess that's just the way it goes. The Mutant Virus doesn't involve a virus like you might think. I don't know, I think of a bacterial virus that infects things and creates horrible mutations that you need to fight. I guess if you look at the subtitle of the game, Crisis in a Computer World, things start to clear up a little bit faster. The game doesn't have you battling an alien virus. Instead, you fight a computer virus. Doesn't sound quite as interesting as, say, an all-engulfing virus that turns creatures into large, hulking, radioactive beasts, but it could potentially be interesting. I mean, look at Kabuki Quantum Fighter. You play as a guy in that who gets put into cyberspace to battle a virus. That game was fun. The Mutant Virus, however, it's not. You play a guy named Ronald W. Trainer, who is supposedly a master debugger. He's tasked with being transported into a master computer that was infected by a virus. Naturally, his job is simply to eradicate the virus. This isn't exactly easy, though. It's hard to describe what it is you do in this game, so I'll just talk about it as I see fit. First, the basics. One has some sort of gun that shoots something at the green blocks, which signifies parts of the room that are infected. The blue spots are cleared spots. One has to shoot the green blocks to transform them into blue ones, all while making sure transformed blue cells don't change back to green ones. Confused? If you're not, maybe you should be reviewing this game, because I know when I played it, I was completely and utterly lost and confused. From what I understand from research, the game takes on the roles from real-life scientific theories, which I'm not about getting into. In a nutshell, the infected cells will convert other cells as long as the majority of the cells around it are the opposite type. So if you have one blue cell and 7 green ones, that blue one will probably become a green one. The catch to this is that I can't say whether or not this is true 100% of the time. So anyway, that's why you have the gun. One has to try to shoot the green blobs to try to stop them from changing the blue ones around. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I found that although the first stage was ridiculously easy, the second one introduces stuff that makes the gun nearly useless. At this point, you're better off just using the countermeasures that you'll find. But these are limited, and not every room contains them. Am I missing something? Who the hell knows? Anyway, back to the point. Once a room's green points are eliminated, the room is considered clean and you move on. Technically, you can move on to other rooms even if the one you're currently in isn't cleared. However, you must completely eliminate the virus in every room to complete the level and move on. The first stage is simple, since it's all basic virus activity. The second stage, I swear, is impossible, because now the virus is more aggressive and although you get a separate weapon to assist you, the virus also contains some sort of defense. In the first room, there's a few chambers on the center wall that fire out little projectiles that bounce around the room. If you strike these, you die instantly. Thankfully, I've only found this in one room, but it's still annoying to battle, and I'm sure they're elsewhere in the game. Which also reminds me that you do have an energy meter. Basically, the longer you stay in contact with a green cell, or at least the ones with the little black orbs in them, you take a bit of damage. There will be times where you may not have much of a choice, and it's going to be a question of taking a bit of damage, or going headfirst into a defensive projectile. You do get a few lives to work with, and I did manage to get a few extra ones. However, I'm not sure if there's any sort of continuous system. Guys, I ended up shutting the game off before losing all my lives because I got so bored and sick of the game. So now, that's the basics of it. It may look simple, but it really isn't because there are some blocks that don't seem to transform at all. I don't know if there's invulnerable pieces where you have to do something else to clean it, but I really have no idea. With these seemingly invulnerable blocks, the puzzles feel broken and the game impossible to finish. Also making things frustrating are the controls. The directional pad doesn't actually move Ron around, but instead just rotates him. In order to physically move around, you press B. There's no way to move backwards other than switching Ron's direction. While left and right changes his direction, when holding up and pressing B, Ron will move forward quicker. Where holding down and B and will slow Ron down, acting almost like a brake. The system works, but sometimes feels too loose when trying to accurately shoot cells. There's times where you'll practically have to get face to face with a cell to blast it. This reminds me that there's several weapon types available, but in reality, they're all the same thing. The only differences are the ranges. You have 3 at the start: automatic, long range, and short range. Long and short range are pretty self-explanatory, and the automatic simply converts whatever cell the blast hits first. If you find a countermeasure power-up, you can activate this by selecting the CM option, but you need to make sure that you deploy it in a wide enough area. These countermeasures simply regenerate a small area of cells, so it's like a never-ending reset option. That doesn't mean that those blue cells won't be overcome, but it just means that they can be reconverted easily. The graphics are simplistic for the style of game, but at the same time, they are actually starting to hurt my eyes after a while. The black stone-like objects, which I'm assuming to be the hostile parts of the virus, shift around quite a bit, but it's not a smooth movement. It's not often that this happens to me, but I had to actually stop playing it every few minutes before I got a headache. Finally, the music is just plain shitty. It tries to emulate beeps from a computer system, of which I can understand why the developers create that way. But at the same time, come on guys, no one wants to hear the emulated sounds of a processor, and the old school PC speaker was nowhere near as annoying as this. Give me some sort of better puzzle music. Hell, look at Tetris. For a game that involved dropping blocks, it has catchy music. And this game was made many years after. In fact, this game was made in 1992, so there is really no excuse to not have better music. The Mutant Virus is a confusing game and I just can't enjoy it. Maybe I'm just missing the main ways to play the game. And if you know what I'm doing wrong, please let me know, as I am willing to revisit this game at a later time. Until then, I just need to score it as I see it. Final score? 2 out of 10. This is Reaper. Check me out on Facebook, facebook.com/ReapersReviews. Happy fragging.